Hello, and a very warm welcome to another session of Hospitality Sales. The topic that we are going to discuss today is Organization Framework and Hierarchy of the Sales Department. I am Chavi Sahai and I work as an assistant professor at AISSMS College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology. The learning objective of today's session are: first, to learn about the organizational framework and hierarchy of the sales department in hotels, and secondly, to learn about the functions of sales department. Now, first let's try and understand what do we mean by organization. Organization is a systematic coordination of all the functions which are essential for an organization to achieve its objectives. The objective of sales organization, therefore, is the performance of various activities necessary to promote sales. Here we mean to say that the organization chart that we are going to see further will explain us how are the various activities related, who reports to who will be your immediate supervisor, and in turn, what authority the person holds over you. So the organization's chart for a small hotel would look something like this. At the top, because it's a small property, we would have a general manager of the hotel, because he or she would generally be looking after the sales department as a whole. Because the property is small, so there would not be many rooms for us to sell. So the employees of the sales department would be very few. So the general manager can have a look at their daily job responsibilities. Under him would be salesperson, one or two or three, depending on the size of a property. Then probably for all the documentation and the paperwork, generation of reports, etc., we will have a secretary. Now, moving ahead to the organization chart for marketing and sales personnel for a large property. Here, the person heading the department again would be a general manager, because rooms generate a lot of revenue in the hotel. To the extent of 70 to 80% revenue is generated by the rooms in the hotel. So the general manager keeps a close eye on the functioning of the sales department. Under him, in a large property, we would have a sales and marketing director. We have covered previously the difference between sales and marketing. Because the property is big, so again, there would be a distinction between sales and marketing in the hotel. Sales department would purely handle the sale of rooms and food and beverage outlet, and the marketing side would deal with bringing in the more business to the hotel, advertisement, publicity, things like that. Okay, so we will have a sales manager reporting to the sales and marketing director, and we will have a marketing manager dedicated only for marketing department, again reporting to the sales and marketing director. People below them would be a sales representative who would report to the sales manager. They will have their dedicated territory, as in the areas specifically given to them to bring in the sales to the hotel and ensure the occupancy of the hotel remains high. Because the property we are discussing is a large property, so there will probably be 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on the size of the hotel, as many people and as many territories they would be taking care of. So they will be responsible for their entire territory and they would report to the sales manager. And on the marketing side, we will probably have one marketing executive, because the marketing executive does not need to go for the sales call personally to all the offices and various clients. So the work can happen from the office premises. That's why probably one marketing executive would handle all the publicity, the advertisement, and media campaign, everything. So this is the organization chart for a large property of the sales department of a hotel. Now let's discuss the functions of sales department. Broadly, it can be categorized in three ways. First, we are going to discuss the planning functions. Planning is a major part of management studies and management in general. Planning is what makes a management successful or unsuccessful. So the main important job is to plan ahead and plan well. So the sales department or the sales manager in general will have planning functions wherein they will do the sales forecasting. What is sales forecasting? Is giving a figure or assuming in the future how much sales are we going to bring into the hotel, so that it sets a target for the sales department to work hard and go and achieve it and be aggressive in achieving that target. It has to be reasonable. The sales forecasting cannot be, for example, like this year we did 5,000 uh, 5,000 crores of profit and next year we'll do 100,000. So it has to be a reality. It has to be realistically possible for us to achieve that target. Next comes the sales budgeting, wherein for the sales budgeting, the manager or the sales department will provide funds for us to run the sales department, which is again a planning function because you do the budgeting for the next year or the next quarter. Third, we plan for the selling policy. How are we going to go about handling the sales? What are the limits to which we are allowed to give the discount? And to what extent we are going to provide the services to the hotel, to the guest, if they do business with us, if they give us room reservation, or if they book a banquet hall with us, various things. So these are planning functions. Next comes the administrative functions of the sales department, which is carried out by the sales manager. First, they would be selecting salesmen based on their knack for selling, their background, their education, their acumen for sales. Various salespeople will be selected by the sales department. Once we have selected and recruited the salespeople, we have to train them. We have to get them acquainted with the property. They have to know the product through and through so that they are able to go out and sell the hotel as a product to the various guests and bring in the revenue. Third is the control of the salesman, as in the sales manager will ensure that he knows the whereabouts of his salesperson. What are they doing throughout the day? What is that they are bringing in terms of the revenue, the sales, the leads, etc. And also the fourth is the remuneration of the salesman. Sometimes sale department runs on the basis of commission also. If you bring in so much business, you get a certain percentage out of it. Or maybe you worked on a fixed salary. All these things depend according to the hotel policy. So we have to decide the remuneration. What is it going to be given to the sales personnel? So these are the administrative functions of the sales department. Next comes the executive functions, which is actual execution of sales, wherein we are discussing purely how the sales will be performed by the hotel staff of the sales department. First is the sales promotion. What is going to be our policy for sales promotion? What are going to be various tools that we will employ to promote the sales in the hotel, and so on. And the second one is the selling routine. On a daily basis, how do we execute customers' order? How do we do sales call? How do we build the rapport with the guest? How do we entertain them on a regular basis, keep in touch with them so that any future business that they are planning to send it across to our hotel should come to us and not to the competition. Next, we discuss the management of sales department, as in how does a sales manager ensure that the sales department is functioning smoothly. First is the compensation, wherein the sales manager ensures that the way we compensate the sales representatives, the money that we give them, it should be competitive, as in keeping with whatever the compensation is being given by the competition, what is the market rate of remuneration being provided to the sales representative, various benefits, meals, medical coverage, etc., so that the employee of the sales department is happy and is able to perform to the best of his or her potential. Next is the targets. Salesforce always works against some targets provide. So that keeps them going, that keeps them motivated. So the sales manager has to be realistically providing them targets which the sales personnel are going to meet. These targets are linked to the annual sales which we have forecasted and the marketing plan that the hotel has adopted, something that we are going to stick to in a near future. Whatever marketing plan has been devised, the sales force has to go out and achieve it. Next is the time management. The manager has to ensure that the sales personnel use the time allotted to them judiciously. All the targets, whatever are assigned to them, will have a time period attached to it. In a common language, if you say, they'll be given a deadline within which they have to achieve that target. So the sales force is always motivated and they have the clear vision of what is the target and by when I have to achieve it. We'll discuss this in a bit of detail. So the targets, how are the targets set in the sales department? There are various ways. First of which would be how many calls do they do in the day. These are just examples. It may or may not be the same in various properties. The number of new prospects that they bring into the department, that is the new customers. Then how much revenue has been generated? What percentage of market share do we have? How many new ideas has the salesperson generated? Overall performance of the entire department. Then what is the room occupancy continuously or maybe in a short duration for a quarter, for a month, for 6 months. Then what is the revenue per day? It should be ideally as high as possible. Then the number of covers sold. This relates to the F&B department, food and beverage department. How many covers have we sold in the restaurant and how effectively have we utilized the banquet space and the meeting rooms. We have discussed this previously that one of the main goals of the sales department has to ensure that the banquets are completely full as many days of the month as possible, and if the space permits, probably use it in the same day twice, depends on the function. So these are the various targets given for the sales department. Then comes their time management. How does the sales manager ensure that their time is properly utilized? How do they ensure that? First, we monitor their telephone calls and their appointments. What do they have scheduled for the entire day? Then the sales representative have to prepare sales kit. Sales kit is nothing but a small envelope with all the relevant documents which will have your brochures of the hotel, various rate cards, various services which we will be providing, everything in a printed format, and probably a small token like a pen or a gift which we will present to the prospective client. So that is known as a sales kit. Then third is prospecting. How many new customers are they approaching and trying to get their business to the hotel? Next is traveling. How much time are they spending in traveling during the day? How much time are they spending in waiting for the meetings with the prospective clients? Because they have to be on time every time, so that the customer does not wait for the sales representative. Whereas the other case wherein the sales representative is waiting for the customer or the guest is acceptable. Then the time they require for the actual meeting with the guest, wherein they present their hotel as a product and sell the sub products of the hotel to the maximum extent at the best revenue that they can generate. Next comes the food breaks that they take during the day, and how much time do they spend on the business entertainment. Herein we mean how much time they take the guests out to entertain them, maybe take them out for lunch or drinks or some felicitation for them. All that is managed by the sales department. Then the sales representative also visit various trade fairs, wherein they will prospect any new clients that they can have for the hotel. Then they also write various reports explaining what they have done during the day, various reports that concern with the occupancy, the revenue, etc. Then there's some part of day gets spent in the market research, researching the market for bringing in the new clients. And lastly, the familiarization tours, which means nothing but if a prospective client comes to the hotel, to show him around the property, wherein it can cover the banquet halls. Maybe they show the guests a couple of rooms, the various facilities like the swimming pool, health club, and spa. So these are the various ways by which the time of the sales representative is managed in the hotel by the sales manager. I would like to thank you all for listening in. Please follow the link given in the description box and attempt the quiz on today's topic. I would also like to give credit to the following sites from where I have sourced some material for this presentation. Once again, I would like to thank you all.